The detention center in Minneapolis, Wibble office building has been emptied out. That's what we learned from, you're looking at here, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Angie Craig that had tour yesterday, Friday, February 20th of the facility. And when you watch it, you're going to hear them talking about the drawdown, how many were initially in Minneapolis, how many are there, the fact that they should be clearing out of sensitive worship areas, what you should say and report when you see an ICE agent. They did say that they got there at 12, but they were told that by 11:30 the majority of migrants had been gone and detainees were gone. Whether they sent them out or whether they transferred them to other places, we'll find out. I do know I'm going to share also in this video on the other side a video from a person who worked on the ground who said that people were just coming out. There were lots and lots of people come out. So they could have just been releasing a lot of people. And Tom Homan is gone. But anyway, you're gonna listen to the video and meet me on the other end. And it's a press availability that they did right outside the building when they finished their tour. They answered a lot of questions. They stayed there for a long time. So it's a pretty long video. So go ahead and watch the other side, and I'll meet you on the other side.
We weren't surprised at what we saw today. We went into the facility and there was not a single detainee that we could see or talk to. Every cell, every inch of it was completely empty. And when we'd asked, why isn't there anyone here? Because we obviously know they've been detaining people. They said the last people left at 11:30. It seems a little too convenient, knowing that our scheduled visit was going to be at 12 p.m., that the last detainees would be transported out of the facility at 11:30. We know that our colleague, Senator Tina Smith, also had a scheduled meeting today, where she also was told that the detainees left a little before she got there, and there was a possibility some might come in after she leaves. We've been told that on average, as the search has been drawn down, they are getting about 20 a day detainees that they are picking up. They have not picked up any observers in the last couple of days and held them in this facility. The facility seemed to be clean and orderly. And again, I wouldn't be surprised with having the level of notification that we were supposed to give about our arrival, that things were arranged in that way. There's more we want to say, but I will give my colleague Angie Craig.
Update Minnesota. So as much as they are drawing back here their forces, we've seen a lot less. The community response has not stopped. There are still reports of people leaving the Wibble building without proper snow gear, without a phone, without any form of ID. They've taken everything from them and just kind of thrown them off on the street. If there were not multiple community groups out there with blankets and cell phones and food and all this stuff, these people would just be sent out into the winterscape, which it still is here. It was nice for like maybe 1 week, and now it is back to freezing cold. So they're just sending these women and children out into the cold without any resources. Now, I don't know about you guys, but women and children to me are not...
To give the few of the other updates that we've heard.
So thank you so much. And yes, it was the first time that I've been allowed into the facility. It seems very convenient that they removed anyone who had been arrested today from the facility 30 minutes before we arrived at the facility. And this is why members of Congress, under our congressional duty, and why we are challenging the new policy on the part of this administration, that it is illegal to require us to give 7 days notice. What we saw today was an incredibly clean facility. It was a facility without a single individual being held in it. And this is precisely why in the appropriations law in this country, we have written, and Donald Trump has signed, that members of Congress can ask to be allowed into these facilities with absolutely no notice. So I'm glad we got in today to be able to see the facility itself. But at the end of the day, this is not the intent of the law. And once again, Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security is violating the law. Now, what we were also told is that there are under 500 ICE agents remaining in Minnesota. That's off of the 3,000 surge that we saw here. There are HSI agents in addition to that. We were told that they are averaging now only 20 arrests per day, and that they are moving those individuals to the 4 essentially county jails in order to hold them. What we saw today was very, very different than what the state has experienced under Operation Metro Surge. We were also told today, and constitutional observers should hear this, that if you ask an ICE agent to identify themselves, they should tell you their badge number. Their badge number. We were told that absolutely racial profiling should not occur in the state of Minnesota. We know racial profiling has occurred and is occurring. My own brother-in-law was racially profiled just a few weeks ago. So I would say they are supposed to tell you their badge numbers. So certainly we observe the drawdown is occurring. They are back to, on average, only 2 deportation flights per week from Minnesota, supposedly. But as we've been saying from the start, we will take everything we're told with a grain of salt, and we will only believe things when we see them here as this operation winds down.
We'll take any questions if you have.
Chair Michael Media here. Just a quick question. If what you found out today proves to not be accurate, what are the next steps forward? I know some people have been out here the last few mornings. They've counted hundreds of vehicles pulling in every morning. So I'm just curious your thoughts on how you proceed from there.
Yeah, I believe I speak for both of us when I say we are committed to continuing to hold ICE and DHS in general accountable. As the Congresswoman said, I believe it when I see it. We have always asked for proof. We are going to continue to challenge the idea that we need notice in order for us to do our oversight duties. We want to be able to be back to the regular process that we are constitutionally allowed to carry out, which is to just show up and be allowed access, because the idea is that nothing should happen in the darkness in America to subvert people's civil liberties. And we know, I've been doing oversight quite a lot. And we know oftentimes when some of these facilities know that you are coming, there is a cleanup. We know that they are going to work really hard to make sure that there is nothing for us to see and there is nothing for us to report. But what we want in this country is truth and honesty. There is already a loss of trust in federal law enforcement. And we want to make sure that people have trust in those that are supposed to carry out the laws of this land. And we can't do that if we are not given the kind of access we are allowed under the Constitution.
I would just also add that I think based on what we saw today, we'll be asking the Department of Homeland Security to provide in writing what they told us verbally today, just to make sure that we have all of these things covered.
Your Representative, when you say that you were told this information today, that you said 500 ICE agents left from the surge, who are you attributing that to? Is the field office commander in there? Is Tom Homan in there? Who actually told you this information?
Yeah, Tom Homan is back in Washington, so
we were told.
He's no longer here. So the acting director was here today, and he gave us this particular information. I hear that Homan made some remarks about the timeline for the drawdown, perhaps earlier today. The acting director would not verify that the director would not actually verify that information to us. But look, what we saw in there today is clearly from the height of Operation Metro Surge, there has been a drawdown. I don't know how we marry that with specific information we're getting from our districts, where just this week we have heard that there are agents staging near Spanish immersion schools in Minnesota. We were told specifically that ICE agents have been directed, do not stage near a hospital, a school, or a place of worship. So if citizens see this happening, we made sure that we have a line of communication today. Ask those badge numbers, get them to your member of Congress or our 2 U.S. senators, and we will do everything in our power to hold those agents accountable. Their leadership is telling us they have to tell you their badge number. They're telling us they should not be staging in these sensitive locations. They're telling us that they should not be racially profiling Minnesotans. If that is happening in Minnesota, you better bet we are going to take it on all the way and make sure that people are held accountable.
Question.
Do you plan to visit another time after this one as well?
Yes, we will continuously make attempts. We're also interested at looking at some other detention centers where some of our constituents might be detained. I'd also talk to them about possibly visiting some of these county jails where people are detained. They promise that they'll give me a list. They'll give us a list of the people that are detained in those 4 county jails, so that we can see if any of our constituents are in there, and then make the proper request to have a visit with them.
I have a question. As I'm activist underscore Dare, I'm an independent person, activist also. I'm a legal observer. So for me to come to my community, so what should I to go back out to my community and let them know we are safe to legal observe them without any obstruction from them or any violence, because I personally have been violated by these agents.
Yeah, well, thank you for the question. Obviously, we asked about that. I think it is important for people to continue to exercise their constitutional rights. We do not want people to engage with ICE or Border Patrol in any sort of violent way. We want everybody to remain safe. So if you are able and want to observe and record them from a distance, so that you are able to get that information in case they are acting unlawfully, that is something that we should all continue to do to keep one another safe. What they've told us is that they want us to help them make sure that accountability is carried out. They told us to let them know if people are witnessing folks staging at hospitals, schools, and places of worship. They also told us that, the door-to-door, the randomness of, multiple masked agents with paramilitary weapon is not something that we should be seeing. So if you are observing that, please document it and reach out to our offices so that we can provide that information to them. If you interact with an ICE agent and they are refusing to provide their badge number, please record that interaction, document that interaction, let us know. Because we were frank with them about the fact that there hasn't been accountability for the lawlessness that we have been seeing. There hasn't been transparency from these federal law agents in us understanding who you are and what you're doing in our communities and why are we being terrorized. They objected to the idea that people have been disappeared. We explained to them, it is our job when community members cannot be located, for us to look at the ICE locator and see if people are in there. And there's been many a times when we look and we can't find any of them. When we reach out to ICE's office or HSI and ask them, can you give us information? They send us to their liaisons in Washington, D.C. That is not how normal operations used to take place here. That is not the standard in which they interact with congressional offices. And we were very frank about that. And they told us they do agree that is not the way things are supposed to happen. And they are very much interested going forward in going back to regular conduct. And we will hold them accountable to that.
The tone they are using, right, is very different than the height of Operation Metro Surge.
Yeah.
But are the actions they're using different? And so that's what, as a community, we have to continue to hold them accountable. And we made it absolutely clear under no uncertain premise that they need to completely draw down from Minnesota, that until these agents stop targeting and terrorizing our neighbors, that we are going to keep coming back. And frankly, what we saw today, we are going to make sure it will take court action, that our authority to show up and observe what's happening without 7 days of notice for them to get ready and move everybody out before we walk through the door. We're not going to stop until those rights, because they are responsibilities, are restored to members of Congress.
Thank you all.
Really quickly, is there a kitchen facility on site here? How do they feed these?
There is a room where food prep is on the wall. We were not able to go into that part of the building, but we were told now that the numbers have declined so that they are moving people out of this facility on average within 6 hours, and that 12 hours is maximum. To a different holding facility. So we know that was not the case at the height of Operation Metro Surge. Again, this felt more like normal activity in Minnesota than what we have been experiencing. But again, we're not going to believe it until we fully can see it and feel it, not just us, but our constituents reporting back to us.
We witnessed children being released in t-shirts. What's your view on
Go
that?
ahead.
I'm sorry, something you said earlier about, your district. Is it your sense that some of these operations are busier outside the metro than they were before, that it's shifted?
Yeah, I think we certainly have reports in my congressional district, in the suburbs, in the exurbs, that instead of traveling in caravans through the cities, that they are doing more targeted actions in the suburbs, as well as simply sitting in the suburbs, waiting to find someone who happens to be a person of color. Those reports actually have increased since the drawdown. So that is my sense. Again, it's anecdotal from my constituents, but we certainly have not seen the cessation of these activities, and in fact it very much feels like some have just moved out into the suburbs.
Yeah. And for me, what I communicated to them is just how incredibly challenging it's been for cities like Columbia Heights, for Fridley, where they are staged at essentially every single school. And the Sam Olson, who's the director here, told me that shouldn't be happening. And so I look forward to providing some of that information to him directly as we see it carried out in real time. But I also told them that in Minneapolis, a lot of our schools are operating at 30% attendance because so many families are mortified. Our churches, especially Catholic churches, have seen a reduction of 80% of their parishioners. This is not a way for people to carry out their normal lives, and the disruption is not just to our businesses, but it's just like daily activity, and it is not something that we want to continue to see, and it is not something that we're gonna just take their word when they say that we shouldn't be seeing that anymore.
Well, and I would just add, before I came here today, I held a forum with members of the AAPI community. So just remember, we have a broad, diverse set of neighbors in Minnesota, from Somali Minnesotans to Hispanic Minnesotans to members of the AAPI community. And in every single community, we are hearing business reduction of 80% plus, and schools 50% absences or going online. And we know the level of lost learning that is occurring in these communities. Teachers across the entire state are doing their level best to make sure that these students have access to learning. But I think we are just beginning to start to understand as a state the widespread implications of Operation Metro Surge, not just at the human level, but at the state level as well. So thank you so
Can
much.
you comment on that?
The last one.
When did you give, thank you. When did you give notice? And I just want to make sure you did not see any detainees.
So, what do we learn from that? Well, it looks like they actually are having a true, genuine drawdown. And so I'm cautiously optimistic, like the Congresswomen. I do like the fact that they said that they are taking seriously, we'll see, reports of agents doing wrongly with their numbers. So note their numbers. And then also, oh my God, take note of their numbers, and then also take note of their numbers, and also if you see them in sensitive worship areas or lying in wait. They are in the suburbs, because I did see reports on Threads and other places that they haven't left. And I know they're in other places, and they're in Santa Barbara right now. I've seen lots of reports of West Virginia, and they're going around the country. If they did targeted searches or people they're targeting, that could be one thing. It'd be great if they only target people here who were here with criminal backgrounds, rather than targeting people who they under their new. They recategorize folks who are here lawfully, whether they are in line for asylum, have an active refugee status, or a temporary protective status, or some sort of other visa that allows them to stay here in the United States. They're making all of those people and changing their status from lawful to unlawful. So they don't know they're unlawful. And also the changing of them status from lawful to lawful is also being challenged in court. And so we'll see. It's end of the day, they need to be defunded and just stripped down and just taken off the American streets altogether. It's been a massive disaster. The last judge in West Virginia issued a scathing, I think one of the most scathing reports, just saying this is a breakdown of constitutional law. You are doing things that our founders would be turning in their grave if they knew, because this is the type of stuff they specifically put in the United States Constitution to avoid the tyranny of what they're doing now. And also it's so funny because they don't like being compared to fascists, but they are active. It's a combination of Gestapo, fascists from the Germany regime, from that little man from Germany regime, and slave catchers from antebellum South, because there's been reports that they've been marking down their kill, marking down their numbers. I hear inside the facility they call the people bodies. That's what Miramar Martinez reported during her presentation at the Congress. So yeah, that's what happens when you arm people. You barely train them, give them 47 days of training, and they don't really know the law, and you tell them they can behave with impunity, and they don't see anyone being held accountable. And that's the problem. And they are folks who are itching. They're bullies. They are using racial epithets. They are being really cruel and harsh. And I just cannot wait. And the thing about it is they all have numbers, and people know when they were brutalized. The victims know where they were. They know the date when they were victimized. So on the other side of this, because Donald Trump's going to be gone, you all see him falling apart. You see his eyes in his last video. Have you seen his eyes? Have you seen his hands? They're barely holding him together. I know we've been saying this for a long time, but he has a horrible diet, and he's enraged, and he's full of rage, and he's full of hate. So and we've seen the reports of it's 4 people, young children, and reports. They've made reports against this man that are in the files. So we have somebody who is. He says he's exonerated. How are you exonerated when there's multiple children alleging that you did stuff to them? So you have that person who, when we actually do find out, when we finish looking at the rest of the files and they're slipping through all the time, it's kind of that is who you all are giving up your good name and your reputation to. That's who you guys have hinged your bank account to, your 401k to. That's who you guys have hit yourself to. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And so anyway, so it's just a matter of time. And on the other side of this, you don't think we're going to forget everyone who you brutalized, if you're an ICE agent, they know. So we're going to be able to mark who was assigned to what location, and we're going to know it was you, and you're going to feel the consequences of it. There will be Nuremberg trials. You can't say I was following orders. So all of you guys, And we can't wait. See the January 6ers? There's going to be no January 6th because Donald Trump's not going to be president. He can't pardon you in advance. I'm pardoning all my ICE agents. That's not going to work. I think you think it's going to work. It's not going to work. So your money is on the line. Your liberty is on the line. So I saw that Todd Lyons said they are disciplining the two agents that lied. And they've already given up the name of 2 of the 4, 5, or 6, whatever that oft asked Freddie. So accountability is coming. And so we're going to match up your name, who you brutalized, and there'll be accountability. And there's no immunity. When you exceed excessive violence, when you spray somebody's in their face, that's beyond your training. That's not protocol. You can't do that. And so that person, that's an assault. And so you're going to be responsible for the criminal and civil liability of that person. They're going to sue you personally. So y'all are doing these things, acting as if, I don't understand why y'all think, and y'all don't even get the bonuses. You don't even have health care. I mean, it's just, but you know what it is? It's like the bottom of the people. They scrape the bottom. The people who answer the ICE agents, y'all have nothing else for y'all. They just exploiting you guys and you have nothing to live for. And so you're expendable people, and just get ready for it. Because when they're going down, you're going down. They're not saving you. So anyway, that's my message to the ICE agents. So anyway, so it's good to know that they just shift focus, and we'll see. Someone said that they might be just acting right because they know that this is a budget hearing, but I don't think so, because the $75 billion is already there. But the minute the Democrats retake the House and Senate, I mean, I don't know if we just need like 2 or 3 actually representatives to retire for us to be able to take over the House seat. When a House, that's subpoena power, we get the Senate, it's a wrap. So then you're just going to reverse the budget, and then there'll be no money, and then you got the bonus. You're never going to get that bonus because you're going to have no budget. So the whole facility going to shut down, and then we're going to start the process of finding out who you are. So you just have like a few more months. So if I were you, I'd behave. I would behave, because accountability is coming. Believe it or not. Anyway, JJ Legal, each one teach one. Share this video so more people know.